Oh, we're going to be here soon. This morning's cast is going to be about 3.5 hours. I have work after that. Then after work, I'll be back to casting a little bit more coding until it's time to raid. Then I'll raid, and then I'll cast after the raid until I am ready to pass out. Good stuff coming today. See you soon. Oh boy, 30 seconds until live. Here we go. Here we go. So last night, before I logged off, I got a little bit upset at my inability to understand how to start the whole loading sequence. Right into or instead of being on the intro page. I got frustrated. And I wanted to keep working. I wanted to keep coding. I wanted to keep learning. But I was so frustrated I needed to go watch a movie. So I went and watched a movie and passed out. That was at 8 o'clock yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening? Something like that. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. But the frustration is what I want to point out. I couldn't figure out how to do what's on screen right now. That's where I stopped. Well, I think I stopped either just before or just after the skip directory secondary function I had in there, the secondary the path that I had in the code. And I still couldn't figure out, like, why did this take me so damn long to get this? And it frustrated me because I spent like 3 hours trying to figure out this, 6 lines of code? This 5 lines of code here, right? Plus the loading that I ended up figuring out because I asked, So I understand this now, getting the loading and whatnot. But I didn't understand it then, and it frustrated me. Because I've opened files in Perl, I've opened files in PHP, I've opened files in Visual Basic. Hell, I've opened files in C#. Oh, thanks for the 1 penny. And I just got fed up with my inability to pick it up as quickly as I should be able to based on what I'm being told. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. So today, this morning, is the start of a change, not of pace, but a change of actual stream time. So I'll be streaming in the mornings, where I'm going to learn something in the 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours that I end up streaming in the mornings. I'll take a short break in the middle of the day for lunch, and then I'll come back to the stream later on that day. So today I have work at 10 my time, which is 4 hours from now. So I'll leave at like 3:45, 3 hours and 45 minutes into the stream. I'll get ready for work. And then after I'm done work, I'll come back and I'll stream the second half of the day. That does mean that if I can make it work, I learn something in the morning stream and then I apply it in the evening stream, as opposed to just learning throughout the entirety of the day. So the goal is to learn something and then apply it without having to go back to the AI guidance or the other websites, maybe referencing in here, but not necessarily going back to the AI and saying, hey, walk me through. That's the goal. And the further I get into this, I'm hoping that the less often I go to AI for guidance on new topics, and the more I can infer what something does based on what I know from before. That's the goal. But the big thing is going to be change of schedule to make it a little bit more easily accessible by people watching, so I can get more questions and answers from people who are watching, because I'm a new dev. I'm learning this as I go. And also to give me a more structured way of learn, apply, because it's a better way of retaining information is when you learn something and then you apply it. That's why schools have graded tests are asked, but that's why schools have tests. You learn it and then you apply it. Tests are a way of applying things. I don't agree with testing, but that's why they do. So that's the goal. With that said, let's get directly into the where did I put? I don't have the window. Oh, I do. We'll get directly into the code here. And do I want THA or do I want stream? I think I want THA, right? So let's shuffle. There we go. Should be all set. I need to turn on the music. There we go. And so we'll stream here. We'll code here for about 3.5 hours. All right. So I learned how to do the walkthrough. File system, walk the directory. I found out that the function is actually not a function. Well, it is a function that I could put in here, so I can do something like this. I could do this. Right. Func recurse fs, and then recurse fs func. Have that like this. This I know that I can make work. And then we just go in here, recurse fs func, and then we have x. I don't even know the path. have to figure out what the values would be for this. Maybe we path the error. I don't know if those would work because they're not actually done. Value of interface type error as... All right, so I can't do that. I don't know how to do it. I'd love to figure out how to do it. So that I know what to do. Because I don't want this just I don't want the function just sitting inside my load routine. So can I have walk there call an external function instead of an inline one? Pros, cons. So because I should be able to call an external function here. It's just a function value. Oh, so you just call the function name. Okay. So instead of what I thought, we just do this. That works? Yeah, that works. So now I have that beep was loud. So now we can just go, recurse walkter, and we just recurse walkter. So I can do that. I love how I asked it for pros and cons of doing so, and it literally said it's just a function. And I'm like, oh, okay, yep, cool. As long as the function signature is there. The catch in this is the callback needs to put things somewhere. Your map of deaths, abilities, and recipes live in load. An inline closure sees them automatically. That's what a closure is, a function that captures variables from... So I need to return them. So I would need to return... Depends on how long that gets, right? Method on a struct holding the maps. Func loader walk error then walk l.walk. The receiver carries the state that's clean, and it's what you do if the callback gets long. Pros, testable in isolation, keeps load short, and the collector struct shape scales when you add more per file logic. Pros of inline. State access is free and the whole walk reads top to bottom in one place. Keeps load short, and the collector struct shape scales when you add more per file logic. So my thought process on this is... I like things being encapsulated. It depends on how long the actual load function is going to be. And where this is telling me I need to walk the abilities and then read and decode the YAML, validate it, create the registry and freeze the registry. Maybe I just create and freeze the registry. Maybe those are the ones that I end up doing for the external versus the, I'm pretty positive that's what it's going to be. So instead of having that there, we'll end up calling the like registry creation with whatever we've made, and registry freeze with whatever we made, if those end up functioning. All right, so we have, I can skip the directories. So if I decide I want to skip the recipes directory, I can just skip. Where are you? I can skip the recipes directory, or I could skip the abilities directory if I wanted to. But we're not going to do that. This is just, so I learn, if it's a directory and the directory name is recipes, then we skip it. We can't just skip a directory because a directory might have if I go up here to abilities, if we skip the abilities directory, everything inside it gets skipped. So I don't know how to skip an empty directory. If is_dir, maybe I find a, instead of this, then we do something like if directory is empty, then we do this. Go semantics. I can put if X, if not X, then do this on one line, but is that acceptable? I don't know if one-liners are it is common. Narrow scope. Single statement bodies where there's a return, break, or continue. Where there's a return, break, or continue. Okay. But not this. Nobody writes it because it's not idiomatic. Bodies that do work rather than exit. Okay. So yeah. And that's what I was expecting. So if directory is empty, then return it. Otherwise, then return from that directory. So if we go into your entry, how do we find out if the directory is empty? How do we know if the directory is empty? Because walkthrough is going to read the directory anyway. And I don't want to reread the directory. So like walkthrough reads the file tree, calling function for each file or directory in the tree, including root. All errors that arise in visited files and directories are filtered by function. See the function. Files that are walked in lexical order, which makes the output deterministic, but requires walkthrough to read an entire directory into memory before proceeding to walk that directory. Doesn't follow symbolic links. So if I wanted to skip, there's no reason to. There's no reason to because, all right. So we've got this. This wants me to print out the response. But I'm not going to give it I'm not going to waste this stuff on the response. I'll do this. The function printing e.name and path. But the path, how do I get just the file name out of here? How do I get just the file name out of function walkthrough file? dir.entry path string named path. The error result returned by the function controls how walkthrough continues. If the function returns a special value, skips the current directory path. If dir is true, otherwise path's parent directory. d.isdir is true. If d.isdir is false, then it skips the. If it skips all remaining files and directories. Otherwise, walkthrough stops entirely and returns that error. The error argument reports an error related to the path, signaling the walkthrough. Okay. If the initial stat on the root directory fails, walkthrough fs error set from fs stat. Okay. The read dir method fails. Walkthrough calls the function with the path set to the directory's path, set to a dir entry describing the directory. Okay. So that doesn't That doesn't give me more of the information I was looking for. I just want to see. I mean, I have the path. Can I read and decode YAML? So I need to the first thing I want to do is I want to put first place all def files into a def struct, into a slice of def, into a slice of structs, def struct. Because I think def over here, we go over here. I think I have def as a struct all the way at the bottom, I believe it is. So yeah, def is a struct. So we can put them into there, and they're going to have the ID, because the def struct and the ability struct, which are the abilities we're going to read, and the recipe struct. So if we look for ability struct, not the registry. So the def struct, so the IDs are going to be the same on the def struct and the ability struct, allowing us to marry those together. The recipe struct is going to be a little bit different. It's still going to have an ID, but it's not going to be the ID that we're looking for. It's going to have a string that is a recipe. And that string recipe is going to simply be, all the way down here, is the name of the recipe, which is an ID, but it's not the ID, right? And so oh shit, do I? It's going to have a description. We need to put description in the footprint. Discoverable ingredients and outcome. We need the description in the footprint. Description. The two comes depending on the power of each ingredient. Firestorm. Fire. Storm. And flame gust. Keep that there. So now we have description, triple elemental damage across all enemy. That's all. 2 almond. Does massive elemental damage. All enemies. The ingredients are going to be come later, but this is the outcome is Tri-Blaster. Tri-Blaster. We don't even need Tri-Blaster in the description because of the way that is, but we do need the description in the recipe type, which is a string. Description, and then we have the recipe in there. We have the description there. Now we need to go, instead of just the loader, we need to actually open up the unmarshal for we need to open the test. Sorry, recipe test. Recipe discoverable. Suppose recipe search. Did I not test the recipe? Oh, we are testing. Recipe fixture. I don't want to use that as a template. And there, here, if recipe dot description not equal to t dot error f recipe fixture error recipe description mismatch. Percent s wanted that this way, and then we just recipe dot description, and then I do believe that that will still work. Instead of running test load, we'll just run all of them and see if we get an error. No error. So if we add an S to that, that should give us an error. Recipe description mismatch. Wanted recipe layout for testing. Got recipe layout for testing, but it's because I put an S in the desired one. So now I know that that works. So we have our recipe fixture all set. We have that all set. All right, so that works. So now I have the description there. So we're good there. Go back to our test load. Our test.go didn't need on Marshall. So now when we have the path, the directory name and the path. So for the first one here, we have abilities, basic attack, and then we have basic attack def.yaml. So the path needs to end in .yaml. So if path, how do we make it end in .yaml? Strings. Is it strings? Back. Strings is standard. Strings.compare. Strings.contains. If strings.contains contains func runs a func with a root. Yeah, that's contains YAML. And actually .yaml. No, I want it to be at the end. So if suffix strings.suffix strings.has suffix string. If strings dot has suffix, s being the string, path, suffix being .yaml, then we print it. So that'll change the printing. Has no field or strings. Strings, at strings dot has suffix. All right, so now we have the actual path and we have the YAML files. So now all we have are the YAML files and the path. And the path is based on the root. And so now this is going to need to be a config file thing. So I need to create a config, because this can also be, I need to create a loading config for the loader and everything else. Because now this can be, this can end up being, I want to make sure this will work. Same. Home, users, ltanon, MMO, server, data. Server. Internal data. Internal descriptor data. The fuck? And then an O data. So there's that. So now I want to make sure that that'll work. And it still works. So we have the actual directory, but I want to make sure that we can change that directory based on where we're at. Or I just keep it as the current working directory up three, is it 3 directories? Yeah. So because the definitions file for everything is going to be available to the client, but the basic YAML files are not. So maybe I should have that under the server internal. All right. Printing the path only if it has a suffix of .yaml. That said, I want to ensure that if this is going to be production data, which we have said it likely will be, that the directory structure is appropriate for that, and that I have a startup config allowing for so it isn't dot data. Also, client and server will have different available data at start. Def.yaml for client about .yaml full. All right. So I load it. I make sure everything's set. This just calls the load. This right now prints the actual file path with the file name that we're using. So I have the path. I need to be able to open the path and read it. But notice the path doesn't have the full path. This is under this, which is why I'm like concerned about it. Client needs defs, names, descriptions, icon sounds, and never needs mechanics. So is a server authoritative in shipping them leaks your damage tables? Server needs mechanics and arguably not defs at all. It needs sends IDs, numbers, client renders text. So data, defs, mechanics, shipped client, server only. Split by audience, not just by kind. Rather than defs and bodies sitting side by side in the same ability folder. You're currently out at co-locate some, which is good for authoring and bad for packaging. You'd be filtering by suffix build time to decide what ships. Worth deciding now because at reorganization it gets more expensive with content. Keep data at the repo root, not under server. Both the Go module and the Godot project need to be able to reach it, and burying it under one means the other is going to have an awkward time. Root level data is neutral ground. The Go embed constraint I mentioned earlier can only reach files inside the module is a real cost. But embedding is a packaging decision for later, and it's solvable with a build step that copies what's needed into the module. Fine. Don't hard-code a path anywhere. The usual shape, a command line flag with a sensible default overridable by an environment variable. Resolve that startup and pass into load. That's a config. An environment variable is a .env file, which is an environment config file. Config. Standard library flag package handles this in 3 lines, something like dash data, defaulting into /data, meaning the server is run from the repo root. Your test doesn't use that, it passes its own FSFS directly, so it's fine in a test and shouldn't appear anywhere else. And because this is a test, that's fine. The rest of the stuff will be for later. Okay. What isn't fine right now is the data. And so in data, we're going to have defs and mechanics. So defs, mechanics are located in a subdir of abilities, and the same format in recipes. So we can have info in a recipe.def.yaml file for the client to review later. I think that's what we're going to do. One structural, one new. On the layout, defs and mechanics are in subdirectories under abilities, still co-locating them under one tree, just one level apart. That works for packaging. Whether that beats data defs abilities versus data mechanics abilities as a packaging or an anonymous shell. The audience split higher, and the tree makes what ships to the client a single directory rather than data defs, yeah, as opposed to data mechanics. Oh yeah, so because the ability is Firestorm, I don't have Firestorm in. That's all right. I don't have Firestorm. Where are the rest? I have Tri-Blast, so I have Black Hole, Ionic Blast, Melt Weapon, Plasma Torpedo, Supernova. Okay, yeah. So data defs and data mechanics. Got it. So now we go into data folder, defs folder, mechanics. Put that in there. Defs, mechanics, recipes. That's perfect. And inside defs, you just take all of these, copy them into the defs folder, and then we just go in and delete all in one and all in another. And I wish I knew shell. I wish I knew the shell better than give me one line to delete all .def.yaml files from mechanics. Sure. Yeah, so that's everything. There we go. It was just in mechanics, so that's good. And then I'll just have to do the other ones manually. So there we go. All right. Now we just delete. And a line to delete files don't contain .def. Copy. Data defs. Data defs. They're all in defs. And they're all correct. Ads incoming. We will see you soon. The hell? There we go. All right, so now all the definition files are in definitions, all the mechanics files are in mechanics, and we can actually go back to test load. We still have all the files. data. I don't see it was cached. So plus that should uncache that. Better. It had the paths cache too. Recipes, supermassive black hole. Recipes. If p dot is dir format print line dash s dash n. I wanted it to print 2 lines. All right. Okay. So, Barnanner. I know that there's an ad going for some people. I am going to have my Barnanner. All right, so here we have our setup. This will be for, it's just a test, so we're actually making sure that this works. We have the file name and the path to that file name under data. Etc. The next thing I need to do is read the YAML. Means opening the file, reading the def files into a def, the abilities into, and the recipes into a recipe. Right? What I think we need to do, write on the sequence 3 notes before you write it. 2 bugs in the test. Defer close runs before the error check. if open root fails, there's a panic. It's a defer. It's a defer, so it shouldn't. Wait a minute. Root is nil in the deferred call panics. Okay. So root is nil if there's an error, which means this has to go here. Okay. Maps, not slices. Def gives you an ordered list that you'd have to scan linearly to join by. Map, ooh, keyed by ID. Gives you the join for free and makes duplicate detection on a single lookup. A single lookup. Same for abilities and recipes. So instead of this, into a map string def struct. And the string that it's, I'm not even going to keep reading right now. The string is the key, which for abilities and defs is the ID. And for recipes is the recipe value. Right? Did I just get this? It's the recipe value. So over here, so it would be the recipe value for recipes and the ability value, the ID for the abilities and the ability definitions files, which allows us, or which will allow us then to map them based on the ID. So then, oh no, ability is shit. Am I going to need, fuck. Is doing it this way going to require me to have another struct? Or is it just the mapping that'll make it work? I'll look up the mapping. I'll use the mapping to look up the ID and then grab that ID from both the ability and the def. Right? Okay. All right. Read file system path inside the callback. Inside the callback gets you the bytes. Then decoder rather than YAML on Marshall because you want known fields true. Wrap the bytes with new reader, YAML decoder on that, known fields true, then decode. Which target depends on the path. Def.yaml is def, otherwise mechanics recipe prefix. But we have, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Seskali, Keskali, Keskale, CE scale, Sescale? welcome to the stream where I'm learning horribly, but I'm learning. So it should it's not defs.yaml anymore. Now it's just defs because the definitions are in there. So it's just defs and then that goes if it's in the defs directory. So we can get rid of this. I wanted to make sure there. But now we can do this. If d.is dir and path equals defs, And strings dot as prefix path, comma, defs. Then we have a definition file. Have a not a definition, an ability definition. Ability definition. Ability dot def dot YAML. Parse and add to def app map string def with ID. Do I want to keep the path? I think I want to keep the path inside the map. That also means that I think I'm going to need to put the mapping up in here too. Like, do I want to inside my types? I don't want mappings inside my types, do I? Do I want do I want I don't think I want the mapping inside there. The mappings right now are inside my enums file. Right? So I could do var definitions equals map string def. So I think that's what I'm going to need to do. I'm going to need to have the mappings inside the mappings variable inside like here. Right? So like I think should my enums.go file have a var equals map string def. Is it def or def? Def. I think it's good. I think that on the lookup, yes. At load time, no. At runtime. The join happens once during loading and produces a combined record. The resolver then holds one thing per ability, not two maps to cross-reference on every use. Which raises a decision. Does a frozen ability carry its display fields, or does the server not need them at all? Given defs shipped to the client and the server sends IDs, the server may never need name or description. If so, the join is purely a validation step. Everybody has a def, every def has a body. And the display data doesn't travel in the registry. Yes. The server never needs to know what it looks like or what it says. Changes whether registry holds one map or two. On placement, no, and for two reasons. Enums holds vocabulary, closed sets of values. A map of loaded data is neither. More importantly, it shouldn't be a package level variable at all. Package globals. Package globals make testing miserable. Two tests loading different fixtures would stomp each other, and there's no way to have two registries. The maps belong as local variables inside load collected into the struct it returns. That's what the ability registry return value is for. The maps live on it, load builds it, the caller. Okay. So it's all going to be in memory. It's going to load it, and then it's going to be in memory. All right. Okay. And we're still going to end up having to make changes to all of these files, not the def files. The defs are going to be fine, but all of the ability files so that they fall into line with what the footprint is now, because the ability files are not fully, but largely stale, because there have been changes to stuff like domain, family aspects, schools, combo tags. Here, magnitude allows reaction, pre-combat eligible is default false. Requires, this doesn't require anything. So maybe they're not going to be. Allows reaction, false payload, damage, burning, condition burning duration. Spellable defaults to true. Crushed. Spellable false. That condition is going to put an effect on the player. So it's going to be a condition that has a, and it's going to put it on the player every couple of seconds, every like 2 seconds or like that. So there'll be changes to the way this is, but I think maybe I won't have to make changes to the actual definition. I mean the mechanics portion of the ability. Maybe the recipe. I don't think so. Yeah, I think we might be okay to go. Like Helen Hunt in Contact. Okay, let's put on the music. We're gonna not use that music right now. We're gonna go back to good old Stream Beats. Stream Beats is good. Beats. Yo, Stream Beats. Yo, Stream Beats. I want to see all of them. Show all. Not the discs. Stream Beats. Stream Beats. Bates. Home. Synthwave. Stream Beats. Repeat. Play. Why can't I hear that? Oh, because the song's over. There. I'm gonna have to pay attention to that, make sure it doesn't go overboard. All right, so where are we? We are at, yep, time to do this. I'll finish closing it in a little bit. All right. That's actually true. That's better. All right. All right, so now, now, I'll go back up here. Okay. Error from load is assigned but never checked, so a load failure passes silently. If error not equal to nil, e dot fatal. So there. Now it doesn't pass silently. All right. The reading part. FS read file. and then we need to go into the unmarshal. So read file, instead of strings, we're going to go back into OS. The IOFS, I'm sorry, not OS. And we need to find read file. Is it read file FS? What the hell? Read file. Okay, so why is read file here? Is that a function? Returns its contents. Modify the returned byte slice. So read file FS returns its contents, but read file if the file system implements read file FS, how do I know which it does? How do I know if it does or not? Doesn't matter. If FS implements read file FS. You don't need to know. FS read file checks at runtime whether the file system implements read file FS. If not, it falls back to open, IO, read all, and close. Either way, you get the bytes. So it works on any FS optimization. For the record, OS does implement read file FS, so you get the fast path. File system test.map. File system test.map FS. FS test.map. FS does. OS root is not an FSFS. It has its own open stat create methods with different signatures. This is why you call rootfs, which returns an FS. You're already doing that in your test. You already have the pros test inject FS map with no disk. Production passes OS dir FS on a rooted FS. And go embed works later without changing the signature. The only con is one layer of indirection versus taking a path string. Negligible when you've already made the call. But I needed to understand it. We can't get past the choices we don't understand. All right. So, first, FS read file using the path. So now we don't need this anymore because we know what the paths are. If it's dir, if it has a prefix of defs, then No. If strings has prefix defs, because it doesn't matter if it's a directory. If it has a prefix of defs, then we need to open ability definition. So we fs dot, hold on, fs dot def definition equals fs dot read file path, is it fsys, so that's fsys because that's what we have here, comma path. So read the file into the definition variable, get parse the file, and parsing the file means we're going to call we're not going to unmarshal it. We need to get the decoder, wrap it with new bytes with bytes.newReader, call the decoder on that, set known fields to true, and then decode it with bytes.newReader YAML.decoder. Bytes.newReader YAML decode. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I care about decoder YAML new decoder. Reader is bytes.newReader YAML data. YAML data is the definition. FS read file returns an error. Returns an error. Definition, comma error. Definition, comma error. Read the file into the definition variable. Set the decoder. Parse the file. Set the decoder. So the decoder ends up being, so wait a minute. Set the reader. Set the reader. The reader is can I do this? No, I can't. I'm thinking about doing this, right? But I can't do that because read file returns an error. So def bytes equals, or walrus, bytes. Hold on. If error error is not equal to nil, can I do that? I don't have a test, so how do I error out? This is format dot fatal f error reading, error during read file. And s %v, comma, path, comma, error. However, we don't have that. Set new reader, which is definition bytes is equal to bytes.new reader, which is weird. I don't have that. I don't have that in here. Bytes. Bytes is the right one. Bytes. New reader. And for this, we just have the data, which is definition. Definition is the bytes representation of the file. Reader doesn't return an error. Decoder doesn't return an error. Decoder.decode does. Set new reader. Set new reader. Decoder. Decode. Check decode for error. And decode. Decode. Check decode for error. New reader decoder. Decoder is, I'm gonna just do this. Decoder is YAML.new decoder. And this is it a pointer? No, that's when we actually do the decode. Def bytes. Which we could just say is reader. So let's just say that's reader. Reader definition decoder. So we read, we decode. Error is error now because error is up above. Error is decoder decode the pointer to the decoder. No. Big as a straw. Oh! Into the struct that's going to hold the data. This is the definition. We need the struct that's going to hold the data. And that struct is already there. This goes into def. We need a variable that holds that. Inside here. Set def ability recipe maps. Inside the function. Should they be variables? Map defs equals map string def. Abilities equals map string ability. Recipes map string recipe. Right? And then because it's def, oh shit. read the file into the definition variable. Set the new reader, the decoder, and decode. Set the new reader and the decoder. Set the new reader and decoder. And decoder. Decode into appropriate map. If strings has prefix, ability definition, and ability definition into defs. That's going to be wrong. I know that's going to be wrong, and I don't know. I know why, but I don't know exactly how to explain why or how to fix it. That's going to be wrong because I want to encode it into a new instance, a new slice of def on that mapping. Hi, baby. And so I don't want to decode it into defs and then add it to the mapping. I want to decode it into a new slice, into the struct, and then add it to the def. So so instead of decoding into defs, we want to decode it into a new var def equals def into def. So we decode it into the def file. It's now there. Code into def slice. Validate. Remember, validate, create registry. The registry that we're creating here is just the def registry. Validate. It's an appropriate def file. Add to defs map. Parse and validate. Add to defs map. I know that's going to be wrong. I know this is going to be wrong. Copy. Not in there. Paste. I know this is going to be wrong so far because of the method under if strings dot has prefix. Because of the structure, but I don't know why. Map declarations are types, not values. Declares a type. You need map string def. Okay. That's a type. That's a value. That's a value. Those are empty structs now, right? Or make map string def. Or make map string def. I like that better. Which one is more readable? Format fatal F doesn't exist. That's a testing method in the library. You want return format error F. Okay. Return format error F. Okay. And it's W, not V. W. Reading. While reading that. Just, yeah. Scope bug on definition. If definition equals scopes on definition to the if block. Scopes the definition to the if block, so we can't do that. But what we can do is this. I keep forgetting that doing that scopes that to the if block. All right. Var def def should be var def def. Okay. That has to be, so I was right, okay. Which is pros, cons on E. Which is more, tell me they're exactly the same. They allocate memory differently. Returns an initialized empty map. Uses a literal syntax to do the exact same thing, but allows for inline value initialization. Defs equals makes map string def. Pre-allocation support, you can pass a second argument to hint at the map's capacity, which optimizes performance by reducing memory reallocations as you add items. Which means I can optimize memory allocation here by when I walk the directory. I find the count of files in there. But if I know the number, I can do something like that. So if I know the count, I can actually make walker which will allow me to initialize it and not have to reallocating memory. Allows you to define that like this. No pre-allocation, you can't hint at initial capacity, which can lead to performance overhead if the map grows very large. Clunky. Use make when you know the map will hold a significant number of items and you want to pass a capacity hint for better performance. Okay. All right, so we'll take care of that in a minute. That's actually, that makes me want to use make here because I know that the make of the map will be better performance wise because I'm going to know how many files are in here to read for the definitions, abilities, and recipes map. Data left doesn't exist. Scope bug on definition. Ghost definition. Our def should be each file holds one definition, not a list. Decoding and mapping into a slice fails. Missing directory skip. You commented it out, but without it, the callback tries to read file to a directory. And if b is dir, return nil early. That doesn't skip the directory? No. Oh, because I said and it equals recipes, it skips the entire directory. But I don't want... No, I don't want return skipper. I want return nil. To return it, because it's a directory, we don't want the directory. Use return fs.skipper. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we're going to read the file. We have this. We have the error. We have the reader set. We have that set. Yes, I know nothing writes to the maps. That's why I was asking. I knew that it was going to error. I just didn't know why. So now we have the path. Now we're going to write into the, after decoding, where do I put, check the parameter, skip directories, skip non-YAML files, skip non-YAML files. If path, if strings dot has suffix, path, comma, dot YAML, then we read the file. If not strings.has suffix, we return nil. If it's not a YAML file, if it's not a YAML file, we return early. Then we read the file. We don't have an error. Set the reader. And then once that's done, we decode into the appropriate map. So now if it has suffix defs, has prefix of defs, we know it's a definition file. We could have this use a switch. A switch is better. A switch is better. We'll be right back, folks. We have an ad coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it up now. We'll be right back. So I can... So the nicks, ites, and defs before the file name. Or I just do as prefix. Switch. How do I switch it? Maybe I don't want to switch it. Motherfucker. Which I knew that was going to be better. Yeah. Case strings dot as prefix. My God, my fingers are all over the place right now. Path, comma, defs. There we go. Case strings dot has prefix, path, mechanics, abilities, and then case strings dot has prefix, path, mechanics, recipes. Default. Return nil. Format print line path invalid. Yeah. Okay. And then we can, in here, bar set decoder value variable, bar decode deck data. No. No. This is bar def. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Because now I want to how do I retype a variable? No shared decode. No shared code after the switch that could act on it. But the map is gone. Declare decode check error insert into its map. Declare decode def ID equals def versus abilities AID equals A versus recipe. Yeah. But oh. Oh. So I'm doing it right. I just had this part. I was thinking incorrectly about that part. So var def. I wanted to save code and reuse code later. But duh. There's no need for that. Declare decode check error. Declare decode. Right? Declare decode error equals error equals decoder dot decode and def check error if error not equal to nil, return format error f decoding path W for error, comma, path, error. That returns it. The error is not nil. We have the decode. It was decoded. Hoisted above the switch is everything that's genuinely shared. Reading the file, building the reader, and decoder with known files true. Known files true needs to go. Is known files true? Known fields rather. Known fields true, known fields true, known fields true, known fields. Decoder, decoder, decode. Decoder, decoder. Decoder dot known fields true. Strict decode. And then perform the decode step down here. Okay. All right. So get the definition, decode, verify that the decode didn't cause an error. If it did, return said error. And then declare decode check error insert into its map. Declare decode check error insert into its map. And so now the map is defs def.id equals def. Definitions, the definition ID equals the definition. And that's the end of it. This is going to error. This is going to error. This is going to error. There's going to be an issue here. There's going to be an issue here. Not used abilities and recipes and undefined YAML on line 37. Go.yaml.in in dot in slash YAML slash v3. Abilities and recipes were both defined and not used. Abilities and recipes are both defined and not used. Print line has possible printf formatting drive. This should be printf. Def. Something's wrong. Basic attack description. Basic attack. Low risk attack. Map. So it has everything. How do I format that? Or X. Range, def. Print this. X. Something's wrong here. Why is it? What the fuck? Silly me. Oh. Oh my god. Basic attack. Basic attack. Basic low risk attack. Send string. Name. Percent string. Description. Percent string. ID. Defs x dot ID comma defs x dot name comma defs x dot description. Save. Prep. Trips an off-balance enemy, sending them prone, minimally damaging. Motherfucker. Oh, motherfucker. Good shit. On the counts, you can't know them before walking, so pre-allocating is a chicken and egg problem. Map, string, def string are identical, both create an empty usable map. The optimal size hint is a capacity hint only, avoiding some rehashing as the map grows. For a few hundred entries, it's unmeasurable. You'd walk twice, once counting, once decoding, which costs more than the rehashing save. Use either form and move on. All right, so I like this. This form is just more readable to me. I just don't get to use the hinting. Mate. I just don't get to use the hinting, but I like the mate form better. Tells you what it's actually doing. All right. Now, this works. If you genuinely wanted it, move it after FS Walker returns on the count. You can't know them. You get 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 lines. That's the pages. Yeah. One real bug hiding there. Your recipes and ability cases are empty. Go doesn't fall through, so those files match. Do nothing. Return nil. Silently ignored. Same trap as the empty effect model cases earlier. Fine while you're building, but they'll look like they work when they don't. That wasn't a bug. That was intentional. Bar. Recipe. Bar. Ability. And then it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Copy, paste, just with recipe. This can be definition. Copy, definition. Defs. Definition.id equals definition. But we're going to keep it. Actually, you know what? I want it to be readable. So recipe, copy, recipe. Recipes, recipe.id equals recipes. Definitions, abilities, and recipes. Definition, definitions, def, That's how that's going to be. Def. Recipes. Rec. Recipes. Rec ID. Ability. It's going to be the same thing for this. I want to make sure that based our ability ability ability.id with abilities format dot print f definitions. And these are ability definitions. Paste. And then we do this. Copy, paste, paste, paste. These are going to be just tests to make sure that everything else works. Ability mechanics. Recipe. Recipes. And recipe mechanics are going to be different. ID, name, ID, and that's just going to be the ID or the abilities. This is where things are going to get a bit weird. We're going to start getting errors here. ID, domain, and family. ID, domain, and family. Def's ID, domain, and family. And these are going to be abilities. Copy, paste, paste, abilities. And then these are going to be recipes. Definitions. Copy, paste, paste. Oh my god, I keep misclicking there. Paste, recipes, copy, paste. Paste recipes are going to be a little bit different. Recipes are going to be recipe, discoverable, and outcomes. Well, they have descriptions too. Name, ID, description, and outcome. And test. Domain, family, description, outcomes, name and description, recipes. That's going to cause an error because I know I did something wrong. Declared not used recipes, undefined recipes, line 16. Recipes. Recipes, 57. 57. Recipes. Rec.id. Recipe has no field or method ID. No, it has recipe with a capital R. Undefined recipes. 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 No. Recipes. I'm not looking for ID. I'm not looking for ID. Oops. Undefined recipes on line 85. ability definitions. Load schema test, error during load. Definitions, abilities, recipes. Definitions. Def.id equals def. Definition. Because I fucked that up. Copy, paste. Aha, recipe mechanics failed during load because I don't have descriptions. But the rest of these, domain action family spell, domain action family basic, domain action family spell. Look at that. Would you look at that? Ability mechanics. Give me a new line. Give me a new line. Give me 2 new lines. Give me a new line. This way here, I actually see where things are. Ability mechanics. Give me 2 new lines here. And give me 2 new lines here as well. There. So now we have, at the start, we have the ability definitions, which gives us capitalize, the description of capitalize, and the name of capitalize under the ID capitalize. Okay, high risk attack is a high risk attack that does a high risk attack, reduces personal defensive capability, does massive damage and reduces, but we'll change that later. These are basically all tests anyway. Ability mechanics, Ionic Blast has the mechanics, so we now know that the action and the family are in there, because action and family aren't in. Like if I open for this one, we'll open Rift Lance, right? If I open this, we have those, which means that this whole file is in there. For the definitions file for Rift Lance, we have just this, which is why we do this separately. So Rift Lance is the domain and the action, and Rift Lance up here is the description. Strike of antimatter tears at the enemy spirit. So we have that. That works. The problem that we have right now, and they all work. So all of the definitions for abilities work. All of the definitions and mechanics for abilities work. The problem we have now is the recipes. The recipes are giving us an error. Load schema test, error during load. And so now I need to find out what that error is, because it says it's on line 17, but it's during the loading, right? %w, error, and now we'll find out what that actual error is. Fatal F does not support error wrapping directive %w. Black hole, unmarshal errors. Line 10 cannot unmarshal map into string. And there we go. And so now we'll go ahead and take a look at black hole. I'm sorry, we don't want it here. We want black hole over here. See, cannot unmarshal map into string. And that's on line 10 in unmarshal. And so we go into the unmarshaler and I want to say it's the outcome. Because that's the map. Into string. Let's take a look at the types. Recipe. Recipe. Not unmapped type into string. So that's this, which is this. And if we take a look at the footprint, that's the value it's supposed to be. That is not the value it's supposed to be. Now we have torpedo. So we have all of these where we have to change these all, as there's no longer IDs. Now these are just strings, which happen to be the ID of the outcomes, but the outcomes leads me to believe I did something wrong. Just want to make sure that I have that right. Found the first real drift. The error says lines 10 and 11 held mappings where strings were expected. Your recipe to author files are back when that was. Two things to check now that you've fixed one file. I checked all the other recipe files. Rerun the test. If it stops, this should stop now. Field description not found in type descriptor.recipe. Recipe has it. It's literally right there. Decryption. Supermassive black hole. Description, outcome, supermassive black hole. Ionic plasma torpedo. Supernova. Go up to supernova. And I spelled description wrong. Tri-blaster, I did not. All fixed. Holy shit, my loader actually fucking works. Holy shit. Let's clear it so that we can grab all the data for the entire set and laugh at the AI. Copy, paste. Wow. Loader's done. Give me a need to do this. That way there gets rid of the cache. I can't do discoverable, it sets it to false. Wow. How do we remove the cache? How do I remove the cached version? What the fuck? That's ass. What says discoverable? No, that's, yeah, that was just a fucking error on my part. All right. Go caches test results keyed on the test binary and its inputs, but it only tracks files open through the test declared dependency files at a runtime from an arbitrary path aren't part of the case, so editing data doesn't invalidate the cache. Go test standard idiom. Count one disables result caching for that run. Most people alias this. Shell alien. GT equal. Oh. by boop doop dash rc. Dash aliases. Quit. A gt alias gt equals go test dash count equals 1 1. Escape. A enter escape. Right, quit. GT. Source. Dot dash. Yes. Field description not found in okay, now I get this, which is expected. Now we can this description. Not quite this proves strictness at the top level of a recipe file. Recipe is a plain struct decoded directly by the no custom on Marshall are involved. Let's go into, yeah, I know exactly where it's going to go. We don't need the recipe. We go into an ability. We go into black hole, and we change model to model. Copy, paste with, copy, paste. Note the MDEL, MODL, MODL. Fine. Done. Give me one moment. I'll be right back. Actually, I'm going to throw up an ad because an ad in 2 minutes anyway. I'll throw it up now and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Baby, are you still here? Baby, are you still here? Kayloon, are you still in my chat? Do I have to call you? I might have to call you, huh? Let's just call you anyway. I've got an hour left before I have to go to work. Well, she's not responding, so I'm going to call her. Baby. What? I'm doing all right. I'm calling you because I want you to go to call your mom and tell her what's going on. Uh-huh. I want to get prepared. I want all of us to be prepared. Because otherwise I'm going to be pissed, and I don't want to be pissed. You know? Okay. Oh, yeah, she's up. Of course she's up. It's 8:30. All right. I love you too. Bye, baby. All right, so we have this. Why isn't one doing that? Well, what if it is? Add a temporary format print line inside the model damage case in your dispatch. Where's my dispatch? Method on YAML node, which has no reference to that decoder built general with default settings. Build it valid, not by the parser. Inside the unmarshal, that's the unmarshal. Okay. What is this? Inside the damage model. You'll see a damage effect with coefficient 2.2. Hey Yeka, I'm only gonna be here for about another hour. I have work and I have to do work. So I'm gonna be at work and I'm not gonna be streaming during work. So after work, I'll be back. But I've done a bit today. I'm actually pretty happy with where I am today, so far. So Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy. Looking for a mind at work. Yeah. Sorry. Email. Yeah, so work. But this is work too, so. All right, effect level typos are silent. Coefficient 2.2 on an effect would produce a 0 coefficient with no complaint. That's the real risk. On an effect. Coefficient 2.2 on an effect would produce a 0 coefficient with no complaint. Would it really? It would. All right, so how do I make that work? I'll be right back. about that. I'm back. All right. So right now, what I have inside my loader is decoder.known fields true. Errors on known fields. Strict decoding. But it doesn't error on unknown fields. It doesn't actually error on unknown fields. That's what I just tested with this. If I add burning, or applies burning, right? The damage model doesn't have, that damage model doesn't actually have, if I go to types, damage model doesn't have an applies value to it. Damage model is damage effect. All it has is target magnitude, coefficient, scale, scaling cell, and requires. So it should only be able to put those things, these YAML, these fields into there. It doesn't have an applies field. So black hole having an applies burning field on a damage effect should not actually work. Which also means that if I change coefficient spelling to coefficient, coefficient is now 0, and there's no knowledge of this actual typo anywhere. It just fails silently. And so I don't know how to make that work because I'm learning this. This doesn't seem to be working with the reading of, like, it doesn't seem to be working at all. So effect level typos are silent. Coefficient on an effect would produce a 0 coefficient with no complaint, which is that's a huge risk. If you want it back, inside each dispatch case, walk value.content, collecting keys and compare against the struct's YAML tags via reflection. One helper called from all 8 cases, maybe 40 lines. How? A P1 marker in unmarshal.go. So we need to do this. To do P1. The model probe doesn't take known fields through recursion. So we have to add unknown fields in the mechanics files will silently drop without making things like I don't know how to do it via, I don't know what that means. I want to make sure that's accurate. It's not the probe doesn't take known fields, it's a value decoder. Value decode constructs its own decoder internally, so the setting on the outer YAML decoder can't reach it. So now I have a question for this. You have to manually inspect and validate keys using the raw YAML. Why? Why? Okay, so then we just go. We have a valid keys already. We're going to end up having to have a valid key for all of them. So valid keys for every struct. Derives a list from the structs themselves. Your effects can read or types fields. Pull the YAML tag for each one, so allow list is the struct definition. Okay. Add a field, the allow list updates automatically. Okay. Embedded base effect needs its fields included. Walk into anonymous fields, and you'd want to build each type set once rather than per effect. A package level map from type to key set populated lazily or add a nick. So the helper is give a node and a target type, collect the node's keys from content, look up the tape's allowed keys, error on anything not in the set, naming the key in the line. Maybe 40 lines total, called from all 8 dispatch aces, firmly P1. All right. All right. All right, so everything else is working at the moment. I have the to-do. Do I have... I don't have the to-do extension. Why don't I have the to-do extension? Install. Local install. What do I want to install remotely? There's a whole bunch of stuff I should have installed on the server. I have emails. What are my emails? Okay. Oh, shit. I missed it. That's too bad. All right. Fortunately, such is the way of things. Oh, okay. I'm like, why is that not working? All right. All right. So I have the to-do tree. I have better comments is already installed. I can't install better comments on that, can I? Do I need these on the server? I don't even know what I want on the server. Oh, well, I don't even know. I don't even know. So I'm not gonna bother with it. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother with it. We won't do it. All right, so we can't do this in there. We're gonna have to do reflection later. I'll figure out what reflection means. Everything else is working. Next. Two loops over the maps you already have inside the loader. Two loops over the maps that we have. We don't need to print these. We know that they work. We will get rid of the printing of these. We're at the joining, not the validating yet. Every ability needs a def. Range abilities for each ID. Check def's ID exists. Meaning, missing means an ability with no display data. Someone renamed an ID and forgot the def. Every def needs an ability. Range defs. Check. All right, so let's go ahead and add. How do I add? How do I add the path? Wait, what? How do I? Have stored paths alongside. Worth doing. A map from ID to path. Or storing the path on the struct. So I would need to add a value to the struct. Hi, Bubbles. You know that Mom's in New England right now, right? So unfortunately, I can't say hi. Hey, Loon, say hi. Oh, that's right. Kayloon, say hi. Oh, I love you. You're so awesome. And right on time, too. I've got another half hour. 45 minutes. All right. Oops. Oopsies. I did a boo-boo again. I did a boo-boo. Go back here. That was a boo-boo. Not a boo-boo anymore. Except my camera. There we go. There we go. That's better. All right. Although I could do it this way. Which is better, do you think? This way for just the size of the window and where things are? I mean, I don't care about having stuff covered over in the left. I think this is better. Yeah, I think this is better. We'll keep it like this. We'll keep it like this. Your connection has stabilized. Your stream will continue. I had an error with my stream? Wait, what? What the hell do you mean? The error I had with my stream was 97 frames missed due to rendering lag out of 218 million. What the hell? That's weird. 1,000 dropped frames out of 670,000 frames. And there's something telling me that I had an error. That's weird. All right. So, how do I add? If you're asking me, I'm doing well. I slept for like too long yesterday. Oh, you couldn't? Could you not stick it because it was a Z Flip, or could you not stick it because it was not Apple? It's going well. We're actually learning shit. We're actually learning a lot, which is great. I'm enjoying things because it's not Apple. Shit happens. Please take it away from me. That's funny. Hey, Paxian, how you doing? Welcome back today. Yeah, learning isn't easy. I spent 3.5, almost 4 hours yesterday trying to learn how to do... Hold on, I'll actually show you. Yesterday, I spent about 4 hours trying to learn how to do... Actually, I should name that temp.go so that it has the trying to do this. Func load fsys fs.fs. 3.5 hours from here. From here. Until here. It was just this. I could not figure out how to actually make it work. I could not figure out what to do here. And then I got this and this from that. This is all today. It's not a lot, but it's all today because I couldn't figure out how to freaking load a damn file and go. This isn't a lot, but what it did do was allow me to do this. So now if I do this, it shows me all the files that I'm actually working with, which are all test files. There's stuff in here. They're all test files that I have created over the course of the setup so far. So it's just these, but it made me feel good because I actually got them working. Sorry, it's also these. But 3.5 hours to just try and make things work yesterday was frustrating. So I logged off and tried to watch a movie, and then I couldn't even do that. Couldn't even do that. All right, so I need to... I think in order to save the... In order to save the file paths that these all have, I think I need to add an entry to the structs. And the structs are over in types. And specifically, an entry to, I'll just use the one at the bottom because it's easiest. An entry into def, an entry into abilities, an entry into recipes. This is the definition structure. So I think I need to do something like path, right? Which I might need to do. But I'm not positive I need to do that. Because I think I can just add it into the mapping and not have it on the structure itself. Yeah, don't touch the structs. Okay, so I was right in that I didn't think I had to do it, but wrong in thinking that that's what it was telling me to do. Keep in the parallel map inside load. Map string from ID to path. Populate in the same place you populate the def or ability map and consult it when building error message. 2 of them probably, one for defs, one for abilities, since an ID can legitimately appear in both. And you'd want to name the right file. So 3. 1 for abilities, 1 for recipes, 1 for... No, 2, because the recipes doesn't join on anything. Okay. All right, so So the way I want to make this work, I want to get this done before I have to log off for work. Just to be clear, I'm going to be logging off for work, and I'm going to be back after work is over at 1 p.m. my time. So I'm going to be gone for about 3 hours. And then I'll be back from 1 to 5 my time for coding. At 5 o'clock my time, I'm jumping into World of Warcraft to get ready for the raid that I'm doing tonight, which is both Serpent Shrine Cavern and Tempest Keep. And then when that's done, I'm jumping back into coding until it's time for me to go to sleep, which is probably going to be 2 or 3 hours. And then we are on the morning plus afternoon schedule, which will be me coding in the morning, taking some time off for lunch, and coding in the afternoon. So I have about an hour where I want to get this part done so that I have the information and the path to check. So there is one other thing that it brought up that I want to take care of first. Evidently, this overwrites the ability when an ID already exists. Now, how do I do a lookup for the if abilities ability.id is not equal to nil, then return format.error_f error decoding %s ability already exists at and then we'll end up having a path there. Okay. Yes, I posted that. She died 2 days ago because she was in heart failure. Like, the fuck? We didn't save the cheerleader, guys. We didn't save the cheerleader, so now the world is going downhill. Yeah, Taxi and games. Coding in MMO is definitely an interesting path for us solo devs. You are a solo dev, right? I can see where my game could work as a single player game, but, and this is a hard but, the ideas that I have work better in a multiplayer environment than they would in a single player environment. However, I'm not opposed to turning it into a single player game if that's where I end up going with the development. But I don't want to go there. I want this to be an MMO because of all the stuff that I have planned. Toast, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You're a cat, baby. You're a cat. Toast. Come on. Come on. Buddy. Come on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Come on. Toast. Come on. Come on. Quick, I don't have a lot of time, buddy. Come on. Toast. I'll pick you up. Okay? There you go. Okay? So here's your boy on stream. If you had just thrown up on me, I would have thrown you across the room. No, I wouldn't have. But I would have been very upset. You a good boy? You want to get down? Go this way. Don't put your ass in my face, cat. He's like looking for you. And he's afraid of being on my desk. Thankfully, he doesn't shed like his mom does. Thankfully, I have no problem having him on the desk because he doesn't shed like his mom does. But, or Erebus. Did you talk to your mom? All right. All right, so we need to get this tested. So there's two things we need to do. Holy crap, Taxian. Did you hear your cat just like low growl? He just went meow, meow. Why are you posting all of Dizzy's stuff in here? Oh, wait a minute, because I missed a message you said. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just being silly. Oh, that streamer's emotes are 99% cats. I see. I see. Yeah, that's not my cat. That's Kayloon's cat. My cat is in the other room. Toast. What are you doing? Baby, you hung up on me. You hung up on me. Why? Why you hang up? It's all good. It's all good. No, he's gone now. He's not on my chest anymore. Oh, that's awesome. Don't have animals, but had a neighbor's dog stay the night for the weekend. That's nice. That's nice. So I need to keep it in a parallel map inside load. Map string from ID to path. So inside load. What? You're a silly cat, you know that? Make map string to string for ability path and for ability mech and ability death. Mechs and deaths. Okay, and ID to path, ID to path. Closet doors open, water's on. Toast. Has food, has water. Be right back. Follow me. The water wasn't going fast enough for him. It wasn't fast enough for him. "30 consecutive, baby. We know that you love me." All right, ads are incoming. We'll be right back. Excuse me. And we're back. Boop. I think that's how it works. If deaths oh, for Christ's sake. Really? Are we gonna have issues again? Fuck. Only 25% used over the last 20 hours. I mean, over the last one. It's not working. This response didn't load. Yeah, which is pretty shitty, but so 2 days ago it did crash, and evidently it wasn't just me, but like the fuck. Come on. I don't want to use Gemini, damn it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Shit. All right, I'll figure it out myself. We'll do this. All right, first we have the definitions. The definition ID equals the path. The definition ID for the definition equals the definition. So this gives us the defs file, or this gives us the defs file, and this gives us the actual definition information. This will now give us so I don't know if this is the best. I don't know how to figure out what model I'm using. I have no idea how to figure out what model I'm using. Like at all. How do I change model on ChatGPT web? Top left corner of the screen. Top left corner of the screen. Really? Yeah, old. August 2026. Very top left. That's outdated, mofo. Top center or top left of your chat window. Yeah. Dumbass mofo. Dumbass mofo. Control Shift M. That's still. Scroll to the very top center of your web page. Click on the ChatGPT model or model name at the top of the chat window. Gemini is so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad. Oh, Gemini. How do I change chat GPT model? I said mode, but stop. Edit. Model. Update. Open the web interface. Click or tap in the top left corner of the screen. There's no model here. There's no model. There's no fucking model. It's thinking effort. Like, come on. Oh my god. Even ChatGPT is fucking wrong. Where the fuck? Oh my god, all because I need fucking guidance from this shit and it's broken again. Oh, I fucking hate Gemini. I hate Gemini. All right, let's see. Settings. Model. Data controls. Improve the model for everyone. That doesn't allow me to change the model. Fucking Christ. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh! Click advanced, motherfucker! Cat, you're stupid. Just click the advanced button. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. That was there the whole time, wasn't it? It was there the whole time. Wasn't it there the whole time? It was, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Oh my god, it was there the whole it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was there the whole time. It was there the whole time. I'm just dumb. No, I'm just stupid. I'm just stupid. It was there the whole time. Click on it, and it's like, okay, I should have known. Advanced. It's got a little fucking arrow next to it. It's got an arrow next to it, which tells you what one you want to do. 03 is leaving on August 26th. Oh, I'm just dumb. All right, so, let's go ahead and copy. Let's get rid of that chat. Let's just get rid of that chat. Goodbye. Delete. Pretend that never happened. Just pretend it never happened. Okay. All right. So I want to verify that I don't overwrite an existing ability entry. How do I check for the key already existing so I don't overwrite it? That's the current in process code. Guide me. Because I do think I do think that I have to do it here. I think that'll work, but I'm not sure that this actually works. Use goes comma OK map lookup. If comma OK exists, definition ID. Then we return the duplicate. Then insert only after that check. Your attempted check won't work because def doesn't exist. It would be definitions, but yeah, it's fine. You're in the definition branch, not the. I don't do my fucking gold. You're already tracking paths. Make the duplicate error better. Yeah. A defs and a max. Make it better. You have, they're there. That's useful. I do this. If original path exists, a def that's the guidance I wanted. This, where are you? This doesn't work because, not that one. It's in the switch. This doesn't work because def doesn't exist, but this doesn't work in general. So what I wanted was what it said. If original path, which is going to be the path that's inside this, well, we're going to do defs. So a defs. If original path error equals, right? Or exists, not error, exists. Because if it exists, equals a defs, we already have it. So definition .id, then if it exists, we're going to error out. So if it exists, we're going to return format errorf there. And you can actually do it like this. Cool. Duplicate definition ID %q, which is going to be %q parentheses escapes it already, whereas %s doesn't. So %q being there means it'll put it in parentheses. %s conflicts with %s. And that is going to be, the %q is going to be the definition ID, which is going to be, if I go into the actual definition here, definition ID would be this definition ID. We don't need to worry about the actual anything else in there. And then we'll be doing the same thing with the attack stuff, which will allow us to see if there's an error with somebody making a definition without having the actual mechanics file, or making a mechanics file without having the actual definition. Wilgin, I'm a paid user of all three actually. Gemini I pay for because I have the Google Plus thing. And ChatGPT and Claude I pay for the lower end version because in learning I want guidance. This is why I have Go like all over the place up here, but I want guidance in learning, not just what the stuff means, but how to do it. So AI is helping me learn. I refuse to use vibe coding because if I start vibe coding, I'm just gonna like end vibe coding and I'm not gonna learn a damn thing. Which is why I don't have Claude or Codex. I mean, even the agents window here is like what the fuck? You can see I haven't even started using it. So like, fuck that, because I don't want to go down that road. I want to learn this stuff. So we have that, and it's getting close to work time. Tell me you cancel. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hey, baby. Baby, my work schedule has changed. And I will not, Taxian, I will not go to vibe coding until I know exactly what I'm doing. I need to know what I'm doing so I can debug the vibe coded buggy code. My work schedule is changing, baby. In the fall, I'm going from 10 in the morning to 1, which is what I do now, which is 1 to 4. It's going to 12 to... It's 10 to 1. which is 1 to 4. Now it's going to 12 to 4. So I'll be working 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. instead of 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm losing Fridays during the semester. I have nothing specific in here for supplemental instruction, but I think that's because it's going to be part of my work week anyway. And then Tuesday nights from 5 to 6 for shit. So I'm not gonna get paid for staff meetings either. Again. I can ask for my schedule to be changed if I want it to. But this is the same as it was last year, so it should be fine. Yep. Yep, so that's that. Yay. Good stuff. Sweetness. All right. I've got 15 minutes. I'm sorry, I have 10 minutes. Let's get this frickin' done. All right, so, and this is still doing its stupid shit. So, what we need to do, I'm not gonna look over here, but duplicate definition of IDQ, it exists. %des conflicts with %des. So, the path and then the original path. The path being current. This is the current path. This is the path that happens to be inside their original path. So that we have all 3 pieces of information if it already exists. So give me 1 second. Good morning, Rob. Unfortunately, you've got like 7 hours left. Baby, 16. 16, I forgot to tell you that. All right, so we have this. If it exists, we're not gonna overwrite it, we're gonna error out. And we're gonna say it already exists, there's an error in one of the pieces. And so when that happens, we error out. If we didn't error out, then we just add the path, and we add the definition. And this is the same basic idea that's going to happen elsewhere. And this is for the path. But if the path exists, then we don't want to overwrite everything. 10 consecutive streams. Nice, Rob. That surprises me because I didn't notice you were in here a couple of times. Cool. I try not to call out lurkers, so I don't have the number of viewers listed over here. I don't have the viewer list up. I just have the chat because I don't want to call people out and I don't want to know how many people I have watching until after the streams are done. Because if I knew that I had 0 viewers for a time or whatever, I'd get depressed. And I don't like, the goal of this isn't to make more viewers, it's to get good at coding. So, yeah. All right, so we have this. If original path exists, definition is there. We have the defs. Let's go ahead and copy this because it's the same thing, just with a little bit different stuff later. We'll go ahead and do this. Boop. And instead of definitions, now it's recipes. And this we don't need the recipes. If original path exists, a defs It's not the path. It's the... This one, I don't need the paths. No, they're two paths. They're the same. Two paths, different things. A defs, a mechs, and a ability defs, ability mechs, mechanics, and recipe mechanics. Recipe mechs. Recipe mechanics. ID path. All right? Yeah. So, and then, so we have recipe mechanics, RMX. We have recipes, recipes. RMX. Original path exists, RMX. Definition path origin. There we go. Duplicate definition ID. Here's the definition, or duplicate deficient mechanics ID file ID duplicate definition ID duplicate mechanics ID. Okay. Oh, it's no, you don't do that. That's my alarm, by the way. That's my alarm telling me it's time for me to go. And it went onto my phone instead of the computer, telling me it's time to leave. So with that said, I have to log. I've got 10 minutes before I actually have to be in there, but I've got 5 minutes before I should really be done doing this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, test it real quick, and then get the hell out. So original path, RMX, and then we have one more, which is going to be down here. Abilities. Oops, that's not what we want. We go over here. That. Go down here. Original path, AMEX, MECS, HS, definition, ID, ability, ID, exists, ability, ID, ability, ID, a defs definition ID, ability ID, AMEX. All right. All right. Ability, defs, definition, a defs definition, RMX, recipe, duplicate recipe ID, recipe, run. Shit! Definition.id undefined type byte has no field or method ID. Same thing with all of them. So line 69, path exists, definition ID, definition.id. That's recipe. Recipe.id because we're in recipe. Line 72 is recipe.id. Recipe.recipe. 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 There we go. Now I just have to test it with one more thing. And that's like super easy. Copy, paste, paste. Duplicate definition, basic ID. Defs, attack, Copy YAML conflicts with copy to YAML. Try it again. Attack conflicts with attack def copy. There we go. So I know it works. I know it works there. And now it'll actually be fine. So I know it works there. We can do this, copy paste. And now we'll have it in here. And now it works with the abilities. It works with the abilities. It works with it works with the definitions, it works with the abilities, and now I just have to see if it works with the recipes. And then we can get out, copy paste. And it works with the recipes. Bing fucking go. Excellent. Excellent. I will see you all in a couple of hours. I'm going to be at work for 3 hours. I will be back as soon as I'm done work. So approximately 3 hours, 1 o'clock my time with more coding. If I can get out of work early, if like I have the ability to leave 15 minutes early or whatever, I will start the stream a little bit early. But no matter what, I'm back here in 3 hours at 1 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock Pacific time. I will see you then. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all. I hate to code and run, but we got to go. Ciao for now.